Hey everyone, it's Deadpool Negative, still in a lot of pain, but now with a new shirt. And today I'm going to talk about Gambit Haunted. Um, Yet another flashback miniseries from Chris Claremont. Um, you gotta think at this point, like they kept handing them these things every 6 months. Wouldn't it be more profitable to, I don't know, carve out an X book for him in the present or put him on Deadpool? I'm not kidding about that. I think you do a good job on Deadpool. But anyway, here we go with yet another Chris Claremont flashback miniseries. Like there have been a lot of these, like Wolverine in the Outback, Wolverine in Madripoor, Wolverine at your mom's house. Um, it just feels like there's been a lot of these. Um, but this takes place in what I can narrow down around 260, the 270s of the Uncanny X-Men, because he's returned to storm the X-Men and sort of joined them, but he hasn't met Rogue yet, and he's called back to New Orleans for some business. Now, I was never a huge fan of Gambit when I was a kid. Um, I've never liked that costume. I think Jim Lee is actually a terrible designer of costumes. What's kind of bizarre is I actually think seeing it's kind of like the McKelvey redesign of Captain Marvel. Seeing an actor wear it actually looks better than in the comic. In the comic, you just look at him and think, this guy charges up stuff. Isn't he like hot in this outfit? Isn't he like doesn't it look painful? Um, so so basically, he goes back to New Orleans to check on some kids who are thieves of this, and then also like I also think this is one of the more stronger Claremont's comics in terms of characterization. Now he knows the X-Men and the mutants are good people, but he feels very comfortable around them. Actually, he doesn't feel very comfortable around them. Actually, look, I'm rereading it. It looks like it takes place right after the annuals he appears in, the Days of Future Past storyline. Um, so the kid thieves in New Orleans, without his supervision, are trying to do something a lot bigger and a lot more dangerous than even he would. And he, in an intent to help those guys, he wants to, he gets the attention of somebody. And then most of the issue is about Gambit confronting a villain that, well, he's on the cover of subsequent issues, but I'm not going to say who it is. But it's Gambit fighting a villain that he really should have fought by now. In fact, it's kind of like in a way, it's a lot like, oh yeah, like why in the world hasn't he fought that guy? Like it's like how long it's taken for somebody to get a really good Spider-Man bullseye fight. You know, uh, because they have similar. But anyway, and it's interesting because this is we got to remember ourselves. This is a very young Gambit who doesn't know anything about superheroes, doesn't really know anything about the villainy fights. Because we get to the classic Claremont dilemma. We see Gambit and this villain beating the shit out of each other, just really hammering each other very hard, very viciously. And Gambit leaves the villain to die. And we get the classic Claremontian feeling of, um, is this villain, oh, I can't let this guy die. I'm a character in a Chris Claremont comic. Even this guy deserves a second chance, you know, even though we, the reader, know this guy's an irredeemable murderer. But I think it works because Claremont is playing on Gambit's lack of experience with the superhero world, and the fact that like um, it just feels like that morality just being spelled out feels almost like a comfortable skin, a comfortable skin. And there's also like just a good feeling of, I think Claremont for the first time in a long time, his paranoia and feeling an almost nihilistic worldview, but the superheroes are good, is kind of tapped into the zeitgeist, with Trump pretty much making both sides scared of the other. You know, I guess being a mutant means you ain't ordinary. Why can't they just see us as people trying to live Lord lives? Same as them, and like it or not, want it or not, that has consequences. And Gambit's not sure if he wants to take a side. He's not sure he wants to be part of the X-Men. And this is a way to Claremont to do this, to illustrate this stuff without making it kind of obvious or make it feel like it's being repeated. I mean, again, like I haven't liked a lot of Gambit solo stuff. I have fond memories of the Nissi series. I really like the John Layman series. But most Gambit stuff does not work for me, including Claremont Gambit stuff, except for this series, which I'm really, it's like I said, it's one of the strongest. It's got nice artwork by Robert Gill, who knows how to draw around those captions. I assume Claremont works full script, but it must be kind of nuts. Like there's this full page spread. Look at this full page spread, and kind of impressive that he was able to do that all and keep all the room for the captions. It's just like this is going to run 5 issues, and based on what happens at the end, I'm really interested in seeing where it goes. How Gambit's act of kindness actually has far-reaching, probably deadly consequences, and how he deals with that. Also, I really think they should have gone with these Phil Noto covers as a main cover. Nothing against Lionel Yu, but they're really nice. Anyway, that's another comic recommendation for me. I will have more, and I will talk to you later. Bye.